Okay, is everybody ready? Everybody's got their equipment set up? Okay. Good afternoon, I'm Sergeant Howard Miller. I'm the Alpharetta Department of Public Safety Public Information Officer. This afternoon, briefing media will be Director of Public Safety John Robinson, that's John Robison, R-O-B-I-S-O-N, and local attorney, family friend of the Pereira family, Mr. Kendrick Williams Sr., Kendrick, K-E-N-D-R-I-C-K, McWilliams, M-C-W-I-L-L-I-A-M-S, Sr., local attorney. What we're going to be talking to you about this afternoon is a reference to an incident that you may recall from last Thursday, August 20th. One of our officers made a traffic stop about 8:15 in the evening on a vehicle for an equipment violation. The car stopped on the exit ramp from Georgia 400 South to Mansell Road in the roadway. Our officer made contact with the driver, Mr. Dante Pereira, and engaged him in conversation. At some point during his investigation, he developed enough probable cause to ask the driver to step out. An argument or conversation then escalated between the driver of the car and our officer, at which point the driver began to roll up his window and started to drive away. Our officer had his hands on the window, and before he realized it, he was being drugged down the road. The driver accelerated to speed. Our officer finally was able to break away and fell off into the roadway.
Can you stop hitting the table because the microphone out?
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So our officer fell away from the car into the roadway and continued to flee. There was a backup officer on the scene that was there that immediately put out to our dispatch center what just happened, and then ran over to the officer who was down in the roadway and began to render aid. Even called out to the dispatch, gave out the description, and then said we were not in pursuit. At some point, following the driver fleeing, he got over to Mansell Road, and for reasons unknown to us, unfortunately took his own life. Due to the sensitive nature of this incident, because it involved a death, following a traffic stop with us, we called in the GBI to do their own independent and separate investigation. So with their blessing, we're here today to discuss the events and answer any questions that the public may have. We are in the process of preparing the dash cam videos and the body cam videos to release to the public. But at this time, I'd like to call up Chief John Robinson, who will be speaking first.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here today. Let me just start by saying that the incident that Sergeant Miller referred to that took place last Thursday evening was unfortunately resulted in an absolute tragedy. We are, as an agency, and myself especially, grateful that our officer that was involved is going to be okay. He's going to make a full recovery, it looks like, but at the same time, our hearts are broken over what the Pereira family is having to deal with right now with the tragic loss of their son, Dante. And I'm a dad with kids in their 20s, just like Dante, and I can't even begin to fathom the pain that this wonderful family is enduring right now. And I ask that our community pray for them as they continue to endure this devastating loss as they move forward and still have to have some questions answered and just move forward with the grieving process in general. So we call upon you, Alpharetta family, our city, to support these people and pray for them. Speaking of our community, I want to thank you for being patient and waiting regarding the release of the videos related to this incident. You know, we strive to be an agency that is very transparent in everything that we do. Just a few minutes after the incident took place, as Sergeant Miller referred to, we contacted the GBI and had them come out and asked them to take over the investigation and investigate fully the entire incident. And they've done a phenomenal job with that. They were swift in their response, and we appreciate that. But with that, before we released any video or any other pertinent information, we wanted to be sure that the GBI was consulted about that and did not want to impede their investigation at all. And thankfully, they have said we're good to move forward with releasing the video, which we're doing today, the videos. More importantly than that, though, we wanted to ensure the Pereira family had an opportunity to view these videos in private first and have any of the questions answered, any concerns they may have had about the incident addressed before we release the videos to the public. So we got to do just that on Tuesday. We met with them, and they were all in agreement that the best course of action moving forward was to indeed release these videos to the public. And let me just add from a personal note, this family has been unbelievable. They are truly an amazing family. And even the attorney who you're going to hear from in a minute, and also family friend, Mr. McWilliams, has just been incredible throughout this whole process. And I just can't emphasize that to you enough. So we'll be providing today the related videos from that incident last Thursday night. Those videos will include an in-car video and body camera video of the officer that made the initial traffic stop. Also the body cam video of the officer that was backing up the initial officer on the traffic stop. And then also the body cam video of the first officer that arrived on the scene to find that Mr. Pereira was indeed deceased. I will just say these videos provide a very clear picture of what took place throughout this incident. At this time I'm going to ask Mr. McWilliams if you want to come and a couple comments.
Thank you. On behalf of the Berard family, I want to thank Chief Robeson, specifically Captain Brathwaite, Agent Glover, and the Alpharetta Police Department. The first thing I'm going to say is this. The Berard family is grateful for the how Alpharetta has handled the situation during and following the incident. They have been gracious in providing us all the information that we needed so that we can get all of our questions answered. They've been fantastic with Dante's parents during this whole process. And as far as, and this is my own personal experience having dealt with police forces across the state in various capacities, they handled the police stop as admirably as this traffic stop, as admirably as you could hope for a police department to handle it. The officers were appropriate in every way. This was just one of those unfortunate situations that happen when you're dealing with a 22-year-old who is making decisions at the time. One thing that I think that we'd be remiss in trying to not at least mention is this. The climate in our country right now is horrible. And the distrust of police and is, I think, fueling a lot of things going on. We need to get to a point where families, where the public, where police officers can have some confidence in a simple police stop just being that, a simple police stop. We have to have these kids not feel fearful whenever they're getting pulled over by a police officer for a simple intent infraction. And unfortunately, because of the environment, in our society today, I think that fueled. And look, I can't answer. I can't go back. No one can go back and figure out what was going on in Dante's head. But having known the kid for over 13 years, one thing I know is that viewing that video and viewing everything that was going on with him, that kid was scared. Okay, he was scared. And a 16 to 25-year-old, their brains process information differently. But that kid, he was scared that day. Whether or not the fear was justified or not, I think that we'd be remiss in trying to dismiss the fact that our current national climate with regard to distrust in police is it had something to do with how he was processing information today. I don't know why he did what he did, and we will never know. But it resulted, unfortunately, in his death. And I think that we all need to take a close look and figure out what we all can do to figure out how to make that environment better so that we don't have our 16 to 25-year-olds sitting there on a simple traffic stop feeling like everything that's happening to them is life or death. We have an obligation as adults to figure out how to make that better for these kids. And I want to go back and say again, the Alpharetta Police Department did absolutely nothing wrong in this situation, okay? This is a product of our time right now. It was not a product of anything else. There is nothing that this kid was going through that would ultimately lead him to do what he did, in my mind, in his parents' minds. His legacy, in my mind, is going to be this gregarious, carefree kid who wasn't afraid of anything. And that is how I'm going to continue to think about him and how his family is. The extended friends group that he has. This kid made friends everywhere he went. And I tell you, because again, I've known him 13 years, I coached him since he was 9. Kid's not afraid of anything. But again, that day he was terrified. And he made an error in judgment that then just seemed to snowball. But I'm just calling on everybody in this room and everybody listening to these comments to think about what you're doing and do better. And I think that's all we can ask anyone to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Williams. Any questions before we wrap up?
Did the officers know he had a gun at any point before it happened?
First of all, let me preface this by saying that this still is an ongoing investigation. So there are some things that maybe we do or do not know that I may or may not be able to divulge. Honestly, I would believe, based on what I know, that the officers at that moment of the traffic stop know that they were not aware he had a gun at that time.
Did you find out anything in the car? Anything in the car? Just
That part would be still under investigation. That's not something we can, and honestly, I don't even know all the results regarding what has been found in the car and what hasn't been, but that, even if I did, I couldn't divulge that right now because it is still an active investigation.
Did the family member say he owned a gun?
Did the family member say he owned a gun? I don't know, honestly, the answer to that question. That was not something we ever discussed.
what type the gun that he has? Any register for this gun?
Again,
Who
I'll-
owns the gun?
Sorry to be difficult, but all part of the ongoing investigation, so that's not something that we can discuss right now.
Was there, what concerns did you have immediately when you heard, because if you just hear it, it sounds suspicious, I guess. So what concerns did you have immediately when you heard what happened?
My two major concerns when I showed up on the scene that night, number one, obviously not knowing exactly what had happened, was the welfare of our officer, and was able to find out pretty quickly that it seemed like he was going to be okay. And then number two was this family that just lost their 22-year-old son. That's, regardless of the circumstances, it's a tragedy, and we wanted at that point, knowing kind of what we knew, it was still early in the investigation. Part of our job at that point was to do what we could to work with Mr. McWilliams, because he ended up being out there that night with some of the family, and trying to, as quickly as possible, and Captain Braithwaite did a great job of this, of sitting them down and saying, this is what we know so far, and kind of walk them through what had happened so they could at least have somewhat of an understanding of what events took place.
What does the family share with you why he might have responded this way?
They have it, and honestly, and I'm not going to speak on their behalf, but that's using Mr. McWilliams' words, that's not something I think any of us will ever really know for sure what was in his mind, but that's not something we've actually discussed.
But when you interviewed the family, did they tell you that he was going through anything or anything like that?
Well, again, I didn't interview the family. That was the GBI and Agent Glover, and he would have to answer that question, but I'm assuming, again, right now, that's also part of the ongoing investigation, so probably not something we could discuss. But that's just a reminder that the GBI is handling the entire investigation, so a lot of that I haven't even been privy to because they haven't completed it yet.
Did the officers describe his demeanor when he was pulled over?
They didn't describe it, but I saw it in the video, and it was actually a pretty cordial interaction between the officer and Dante, honestly. There was, again, I'll use the word cordial as far as that goes.
If I can ask Mr. McWilliams.
Sure, absolutely.
You were explaining how he was scared that day. What makes you believe that he was? What happened?
Well, and I guess from my standpoint, the only way I can describe, the actions he took that day was based off of his demeanor in the car at one point before he decided to pull off. So, I think everybody's going to see the video and they're going to judge things on their own. But the kid I know, the initial stop, his demeanor was one way. At the point where before he pulled off, his demeanor changed, and you saw his demeanor change. Not necessarily with how he was responding to the police officer, but just how he was moving in the car and those kinds of things. It wasn't the actions of somebody who was just calm, and that's when I saw fear in the kid again, and that's based off my knowing the kid.
Did the family share with you that he was going through anything?
At the point, and I've spoken to both, Dante wasn't going through anything that they knew of. Matter of fact, he was home before he left to head to a birthday party, and he was in good spirits. This is from his dad. He was in good spirits. He was in a good mood and looking forward to a trip that he had planned going out to California. So there was nothing in their mind that signaled that anything like this would happen.
Was it known that he owned a gun?
They did not know he owned a gun.
Why did your family decide to hire a lawyer on this case?
They did not hire me. I'm actually a family friend.
Okay.
I've known this child since he was 9. I've been in his life since he was 9. And you'll hear a point in the video, he said he wanted to call his lawyer because whenever he got in trouble, he called me.
Were you surprised to find out he owned a gun?
I was very surprised.
And why is that?
For him to do something like that, he would have, you know, if he had bought a gun, that's something that he would have shared. So,
And you're saying he's scared. What do you mean by scared? Do you think he was not comfortable with the situation he was in at that moment, or something was going on in his life?
no, he wasn't comfortable with the situation with being pulled over, and that was evident because he actually he was FaceTiming his brother. He actually called his brother to FaceTime him because he told him, "I'm being pulled over by the cops." So that was step one. As the encounter went on, he was still on the phone with his brother. So again, he was uncomfortable from the beginning, but again, just looking at the video, I didn't see anything in the initial stop that he would have been uncomfortable. But as the encounter, you know, kind of went on, I think that's when I noticed that he was even more uncomfortable.
Did he tell his brother that he was going to do what he did?
No, he did not say anything like that.
Did that happen on FaceTime?
The entire event happened on FaceTime.
So his brother saw everything?
Correct.
And did he mention what the last words that were said?
Who mention?
The brother between.
His brother is going through some things, man, and I hope everyone can understand that that's kind of a traumatic thing to have witnessed something like that. On the scene, when I got there immediately on the scene, his brother couldn't really, you know, relay what was going on, and having witnessed something like that, he still can't. You know, he pieced together some things after, you know, looking at the dash of the body cam video, but he still couldn't piece together what happened.
Anything else? Sorry?
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out and covering this. We appreciate your questions. We certainly appreciate your patience and the public's patience for us getting this information out to everybody. Definitely a tragic case, certainly one that we know is very sensitive, and we want to continue to build on the public trust that we have and show our transparency, again, which is the reason why our detectives called in the GBI. So if there are no more questions for the Chief or Mr. McWilliams, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Reporters, I can meet with you afterwards to discuss how to obtain a copy of the video. And for our public that may be watching, later on this afternoon, we're planning on releasing the body camera and the dash cam video of the incident for you all to see as well. That's all. Thank you.
We're going to be stopped on the exit ramp. Exactly. Behind the street.
Recording.
You can show me signal light 452. Thanks.
How you doing, man? Not so bad. You got a license there?
Yes, sir.
Appreciate that. Let's see. I don't want to mess up your name. Can you say it for me?
Dante.
Your last name?
Ferrara.
Ferrara?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ferrara, my name is Officer Thag. So I stopped you. I noticed your windows are pretty dark, man. You know what the tint is on these things?
I
think it's like 20%.
It's like 20. You know what the legal limit is?
32 in Georgia.
Yeah, it's a little lower
I
than
bought a car
the
like
limit.
that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it happens sometimes. So it is. Have you ever been stopped for it before?
No.
Anybody ever run the meter on it? See what it's at? We can do that for you real quick if you want. You still live in? Oh, you're from Alpharetta,
Yes, sir.
Compass Point.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You turned around on the exit 11, didn't you?
On exit 11?
Yeah, when
No,
I
I
was
got-
getting on the highway, that's when you turned around to get behind me.
No, I got on it on Milton. All right, give me a second. Let me get my meter. We'll check it real quick, okay?
Yes, sir.
Hang on the car for me. You can put the window up, I'll spray, and I'll come right back.
All right.
I'm gonna ask him for consent here in just a second. I'm gonna grab my tent meter real quick and we'll check the windows. So if you'll bring it up just a couple inches, it's just got to slide on the glass. We'll see it. I'm not sure if we'll see if the water mess with it or not. Yeah, it's giving me an error. Oh, there we go. 11.
That's fine, bro. Just stay on the phone with me, please and thank you. There's been a lot of Black Lives Matter.
What's that?
No, it's just the Black Lives Matter. My parents say anytime you get pulled over because of all the police shootings, stay on the phone.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm staying on the phone.
It's okay. Everything's being recorded, man. Ain't no big deal. But yeah, did you see that? 12. Yeah. So legal limit is 30 in Georgia. That's pretty dark for what it is.
With a ticket.
I don't know, man. I don't necessarily like to write window tickets, but like I said, you never been stopped for it before. You didn't know about that. All right. You got any marijuana in the car, man? Huh? Are you sure? Have you had some in here at some point? Because I can smell something.
I left school earlier in my roommate. There's no marijuana in the car.
Yeah.
I promise you, I just took a shower. Yeah, I've been pulled over and searched.
You've been done what now?
I've been pulled over and searched, and my lawyer has told me if someone has said, I just took a shower, there's no marijuana in the car. I promise you.
Okay. But you taking a shower doesn't mean there wasn't marijuana in your car.
No, there's not been no marijuana in the car.
Never.
No, there's been marijuana in the car before in my lifetime,
Okay.
but no, not that.
Because the odor of marijuana is pretty hard to get rid of in a vehicle, especially. So, okay. Hop out for me real quick.
No, sir.
I'm sorry?
Can I call my lawyer?
No, sir. You can hop out the car for me. Can you hop out the car for me?
I can't call my lawyer.
Sir, I'm asking you to step out the car. Mr. Pereira? Mr. Pereira, stop the car! Stop the car! I'm about to shoot. Hey, roll over, buddy. You check. Roll over. Roll over. Hey, you okay? You okay? Hey, talk to me, buddy. I'm good. You good? I'm just scant. Your blood. I'm scant. Listen, you're okay. We're on the off ramp. We're on the off ramp. Come here, I gotta check your knife. I'm gonna ask for consent here in just a second. I'm gonna grab my tent meter real quick and check it out. Okay. What's on, man? How's it going? Huh?
Oh, you were just, never mind.
No, that's a different person. Signal 12. Hey, we're not in pursuit. Hey, roll over, buddy. Let me check you. Roll over. Okay. Hey, you okay? Are you okay? Hey, talk to me, buddy.
I'm good.
You good?
I'm just skint.
Your blood.
I'm skint.
Listen, you're okay. We're on the off ramp. Come here, I gotta check your knife opened up, okay? Listen, be still for me, okay?
Arms are numb, my man.
Okay, just hold still, okay? Listen, I'm gonna check you, okay? Your knife came out. Do you feel anything? Driver!
1246, I'm out with the green Mercedes. Possible driver just shot himself. Is he alert?
No, sir.
Back up.
No.